Okay, hello everybody. I hope you guys are having or had a great weekend. So we are going to jump in today and talk about parallelograms and their properties. So we're going to start off by taking some notes. You guys finished up triangles the other day. I know that we went very quickly through triangles. Normally we would have gone in a lot more detail. But we are trying to get through as much material as you guys can so that you are well prepared for your classes next year. Okay, so we're talking about parallelograms. A parallelogram has the word parallel in it, okay? And so obviously it's going to have something to do with sides being parallel. So a parallelogram is going to be a quadrilateral with parallel sides. Okay, so that means that remember, so if you have a little arrow on a segment that matches an arrow on another segment, that means they're parallel. So these opposite sides are parallel, and also these opposite sides are parallel. So the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel. Let's go ahead and name this A, B, C, D. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Again, remember, I know that I have a fancy sheet, but feel free to do this on notebook paper. Not a big deal. Okay, so our symbol to write down, if we want to write down parallelogram ABCD really quick, we would draw a little parallelogram, and then we would write the vertices ABCD. Okay, and you can go in. It needs to be in like sequential order, like A, B, C, D, but it also could go backwards as A, D, C, B. Whichever one is fine. Just make sure that like you're going around in a circle each time. There are four major properties of parallelograms that we need to know. Okay, so property one is that if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then opposite sides are congruent. Okay, so if we have a parallelogram, ooh, ugly. I know all my whiteouts in the other room. Actually, no, it's not. I'll just get out a third whiteout from my desk. I'm sorry. Excuse all the rattling of my desk. Okay. So this means that this side is congruent to that side, and that side is congruent to that side. Opposite sides are the same length. Okay. Property two, if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, so we can imagine this like we did in Math 2 when you had a set of parallel lines and then a transversal running between them. But these two transversals are parallel, so you could kind of imagine these angles being the opposite side of these. So alternate interior means like the opposite side of the on the parallel lines, and interior would mean like inside of the parallel lines. So this angle is congruent to this angle, and then this angle is going to be congruent to that angle. Okay, so it's kind of like the ones across from each other are going to be congruent. Okay, now if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, so this just means if I have a parallelogram, oops, it's ugly. Okay, then consecutive means that they are, if I'm traveling from one vertex to the next, that the one next to it, it could be on either side. So from A to B, if there was this were C and D. A is consecutive with B and D. Okay. Notice, remember from the last property, B and D are congruent. So angle A plus angle B, or you could replace B with D, should add to 180. Remember that supplementary means 180 degrees. Okay. And then property 4 is if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then diagonals bisect each other. This one's super fun. So diagonals bisect each other. Okay, so bisect, if you will recall, means that we cut something in half. Okay, so if I draw out my parallelogram, one diagonal, which is drawing a line from one vertex to the one across from it, is going to cut the other one in half so that this segment right here is equal to that segment right there. And same thing for the other diagonal. Okay, so those are our 4 properties. Let's move on to the back. All right, so it says in parallelogram JKLM, LM is 86. Let's go ahead and draw this stuff in. So 86. LK is 100 millimeters. And angle angle JML. So we go JML is talking about this angle right here. You're looking at the letter in the between when you're looking at the measure of an angle. The vertex that's going to represent the angle is the middle one. This is 42 degrees. Okay, it says find each measure. So first it says to find the length of JM. JM, remember, is right across from KL. They are congruent. So because JM is congruent to KL, we should have that JM is equal to 100 millimeters. Okay, those two sides are congruent. They are the same length. So they should be 100 millimeters, not milliliters, that's volume. Then we have KJM, angle KJM. So that's this angle right here, okay? Now, it's adjacent to this angle right here, which means that they should be supplementary. So we're going to say because angle M plus angle J is equal to 180, we can set up the equation 42 plus angle J equals 180 degrees to get 138 as our angle measurement. And to do that, we would just subtract 42 from each side. Okay, so if you do 180 minus 42, you should get 138. Then I want you guys to do this one as a you do. I will post solutions to it, but I want you guys to go ahead and try it. Okay, so see if you can figure that one out. Actually, I want all of the rest of these to be you do's. Okay, but I will post the solutions to these you do's on the document for this assignment. Okay. Then we have another parallelogram down here. Okay, it looks like we're going to be working with the inside of this parallelogram. We have little measurements on the inside of these diagonals that represent, they're little expressions that represent our measurements of those diagonals. Okay, so the first thing they talk about is WV. So WV is going to be B plus 8, right? Now, that's not exactly a number. It's not a number, right? It has a variable in it. And so we want to figure out what that should be. We know that these diagonals bisect each other, so B plus 8 should be equal to 5B. So we can set that equal to 5B. Now we have an equation we can solve, okay? So we can kind of like ignore this little equal sign, subtract B from both sides to combine our like terms and get 8 equals 4B. Divide both sides by 4, and we should get that B is 2. Okay, then we can sub that back in. We know that B plus 8 was the measurement of WV. Ooh, sorry. Okay, so we can say that WV is equal to B plus 8, which is really 2 plus 8, which is 10. Okay. Then we have YW. YW is this entire thing, right? YW. This is just because this segment is equal to this segment, it should be 2 times the last one. So YW should be equal to 2 times WV. You also could say B plus 8 plus 5B if you wanted to, and then substitute this B in to solve for it. Either method is totally fine. We know that WV was 10, so we should have 2 times 10, which is 20. Oh, they didn't give units for this, so we'll just say 20. Okay, this will be our solution. Okay, then I want you guys to do 9 and 10 as U-deuce. All right, so 9 and 10 are going to be U-deuce. I will post solutions for it. And then we will do some more examples down below. We have 2 more pieces, and then I'm going to give you like a little extra guy. All right, so we have parallelogram A, B, C, D here. Find each measure. So first it wants us to find AD. So AD is a length, okay? And we know that the line segments across from one another in a parallelogram should be congruent. So we can say that 5x plus 19 should be equal to 7x. AD we know is 7x, but we want to set up an equation so that we can solve for x and then subsequently solve for that length, okay? So I have this equation set up here. I can subtract 5x from both sides, and I should get that 19 is equal to 7 minus 5 should be 2x. And then when we divide by 2 on both sides, we should get x is equal to 9.5. And then when we're solving for AD, we should say that this is 7 times 9.5, which should give you 66.5 as your final. Okay. Then it wants the measure of angle C. Okay. Now, measure of angle C is going to be equal to the measure of angle A right here, but A is in terms of Y. So what I need to do is I need to come up with a different equation. This is the only other angle given, and so we need to use that. So we need to look at the relationship between angle A and angle B right here. Remember that because they're consecutive, because they're right next to each other, they should be supplementary. So we can say that, and I'm going to do this over here, 6y plus 5 plus 10y minus 1 should be equal to 180 degrees. Okay, now we can go ahead and combine like terms and solve for y. We should get 16y because 6y plus 10y is 16y. Then 5 minus 1 is 4. And I can subtract 4 from both sides to get 16y is equal to 176. Then divide by 16 on both sides to get that y is equal to 11. Okay, so now I know what y is. I know that measure of C is equal to, measure of angle C is equal to the measure of angle A. I should be using a capital letter, I'm sorry. Okay. And the measure of angle A is defined by 10 times y, which we found out was 11 minus 1. 10 times 11 is just 110, minus 1 is 109. Okay, so this should be this. Now I want you guys to try this one. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to put it as a little assessment at the end of the day for you to submit. Okay, so this is your guided examples that I've done for you. We did notes on the front with all the properties. I'm going to give you guys a practice assignment with solutions, and then I'm going to post a little assessment at the end of the day as your homework to see how you guys really do on it. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great Monday.